What's up, guys? Welcome to Chasing Pelagics. This is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, August 31st. Head into our big holiday weekend here. I'm Jeff, and if you've never been here before, we do this every Thursday, giving you the latest, greatest information off the water for SoCal. And quick look at our weather here. We've been coming off a real heater here at the beach. And, unfortunately, the wind is starting to kick back up here. So we have a little bit of this cloud cover that's starting to fill in the next couple of days, which is going to make things a little bit more tough for sighting fish. This afternoon, we did have a little fog bank roll in, and the Viz got down, I'd say within 500 yards. Not terrible, but if you're trying to have your eyes and those gyros, definitely a factor here. So keep that in mind if you plan on heading out on the water on your own boat. Quick look at our wind model here from windy.com. We drop a picker here. Let's kind of see what's cracking. But basically, we have these unseasonable northwest winds again after we got out this nice little spell after the hurricane. And, this is the activity that we typically see in June, maybe a little July. And then, this is what we should be starting to look at right here. This is our fall, September wind pattern. Typically less than 10 knots, maybe come a little bit light from the northwest. But this is what we're really looking for. The last few days have been pretty nasty on the outside, driving up a lot of swell, 5 to 7 feet out there on the bank. So, and then here comes your favorite holiday, Monday, and back to this usual crap. So hopefully, as we get further into September here, this wind will get with it. But as of right now, Monday is not looking that great. But the rest of the week is looking pretty tolerable. And the good news is that the fish are relatively close. So that should help us out here. But quick look at our at least our marine forecast here. Thursday night, everything's less than 10 knots. And then we talk about Sunday, 10 to 15, mixed seas 1 to 2 feet at 9 seconds, and south at 3 to 14. The 3 to 14, 3 at 14 is not a big deal, but we start getting at 20 knots, and then a northwest 2 to 3 feet at 7 seconds. That's going to keep some of those private boat guys off the water, or make it very difficult to travel far. So keep that in mind, but that is what's happening. This is a 1-day chart. We finally got a nice clear view here. The dark red is 74-degree water here. And then, majority of this is 70, I'd say, is going to be our average here. But what happens after a hurricane like what we had here, we get a lot of rain runoff. And that spills up the old chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll?
Yeah, chlorophyll, borophyll.
More like borophyll. Right?
But as you can see here on this chart, dark green is 7 chlorophyll. Orange is we start getting to that red tide. And although it's deeply hated amongst the fishing community here for what it does to the water, it is a natural phenomenon. And it does bring opportunity. So deep in this orange stuff, you're probably not going to find a lot of good life. Typically, pelagics don't really like the green water for the most part. They're more of a blue water type species. But things you're going to find in this dark water is a lot of bait. And what happens is you have a lot of fish that just got pushed up north from that hurricane. They're pushed into this new blue water. And all of a sudden, we got a bunch of chlorophyll. The bait fish are going nuts. And all the bait fish are hanging out in this zone, not so much in the blue water. And what happens is it pushes these pelagics into the green water, especially on the edges. And you're going to find them in sometimes some really disgusting water that you think you would never find them in. But because this is where the bait is piled up, they're not far from the lunchroom. So you might have seen it before. I've had a couple days, especially out in the 371, where the water's like this. It's like brown. You see flakes in the water, and it's just jammed full of tuna. And you might see, some on your meter down 1,500 feet, and you fly on a couple baits, you're not really getting a reaction. You throw 7, 8 baits in the water at the same time. All of a sudden, you got a mini little foamer on your boat, and they just pop right up and get crazy. So some of it might take a little finesse fishing if it's that smaller yellowfin, like 20-pound stuff. Definitely fish like 25 if you can get away, 25, 30 if you can get away with it. But we do have a little bluefin mix in here as well, and you're going to end up with some stuff that's close to 100 pounds. So you got a good chance of breaking some off. And what this also does is these fish come together and they drive bait on the surface. So you're seeing a lot more foamer style fishing now versus that spread out breezer type fishing. So if you're on a private boat and you're going to come attack this stuff, your best signal is going to be your eyeballs and in the forms of foamers. So definitely have a popper setup for sure. If you can fish, say like one of the poppers that we sell, either like the 150 millimeter or the 175 millimeter on some 40-pound fluorocarbon, put that setup on a rod, and then right next to it, I'd have the very same setup, maybe with 30-pound instead of 40-pound, and put like a 100 gram or 130 gram Daiwa Zakana jig on there, or Shimano Colt Sniper, something like that. That's going to give you a little bit more sink. And even if you're on a sport boat as well, when you're approaching a foamer, my first cast is going to be with that popper. Or if you have another stick bait like a Subwalker from Shimano, that's another great stick bait. Something that's going to be up there on the surface. Give it 1 to 2 casts. You don't have to like work it super crazy like the little Subwalkers. You can just kind of walk them and they kind of bounce side to side. Poppers, especially the clear ones, you can kind of just throw them, let them like sit there for a minute. You don't have to work them like it's a top water bass session here on on TV. Just like give it a little jerk, keep your slack semi-tight, pop it once, count to 5, give another little pop, and that's how you really want to work this stuff. If they sink out, I'm immediately grabbing that jig and I'm chucking it out, trying to catch it on the way down once they swim away. And I've kind of both ways, and it's just kind of, if they're up and they're staying on that piece of bait and they're attacking it, I'm fishing the popper for sure or stick bait. And then if they're kind of being shy and they start to fizzle out a little bit or sink out, I'm going to meet my next cast and I'm walking to the back of the boat and I'm sliding a jig back, especially if the boat's still moving. So usually like I'll give it 1 to 2 casts on the popper or stick bait, and then if they sink out, I'm immediately going for the jig, and you usually get one of the two depending on what they're doing. So, but if they're up and about, stick with the top water stuff. It's going to work for you the best. You're really trying to look for a mistaken bite. They're up attacking that bait, and they bite your lure instead of the bait. So try and put that popper in the bait if you can, and work it from there. But that's a lot of this type of fishing that's going on here, and yeah, it's nice that it's close to home. But the downside of this type of fishing close to home is that it moves around a lot. So I can tell you the last 3 days, if you've been reading our report, a written report on our website, you can find it in the report section. A lot of the stuff was basically from Oceanside to almost San Onofre, maybe as far south as Carlsbad. And it was like 1 to 3 miles off the beach in the dirty water. This wasn't as bad looking as it is now. It's a little bit less. And yeah, it's been there all week. And then this water kind of got a little bit more nastier. Now they're sliding northwest and starting to push out a little bit. So this is the stuff that you got to stay on top of. It's a little bit difficult. It's not going to be the same day-to-day stuff because they're not really sticking on these high points. 267 is still pretty deep water. And we do find fish here. 14-mile bank, a little bit more shallower, but still, it's still pretty deep. So this is not the stuff that you're going to see where you're at Cortez, you're in 60 feet of water. This is stuff that's 200 plus feet deep. So the fish don't really hang on it. They kind of just follow the edge here or what's around the lunchroom and move on. So if the bait moves, the fish move. So although this is probably going to be your primary attack this weekend, considering that the wind is going to come up, especially on Monday, and it's close to home, and you have to burn a lot of gas. Just reminder, as always, patience on the launch ramp, patience at the bait dock, patience at the fuel dock, and if you see some guys working some fish, find your own fish, man. There's plenty of fish. I mean, this is like over 100 120, 150 nautical miles. There's a lot of fish in this area that you're going to find. So find your own fish. Give each other some room, because I guarantee if someone slid up on you where you're trying to take your time working a pile of bait or a little school that happens to be around, you're going to get super frustrated too, and then you're both going to strike out, and no one's going to come up with anything. So just take your time, spend some time in the binoculars, and obviously try to work with this little bit of cloud cover that we got here as well. But that's going to be the name of the game this weekend. So as far as where this fish has been, like I said, it was in the dirty water. It's starting to slide out a little bit, not so much in the orange stuff here. But nothing higher or northern than the 14-mile bank. Majority is not west of the 277, and nothing really below the 209. So really, this piece of water here, it's looking really good. Really good. So good point of focus for the weekend. There's also been a little striped marlin bite going on here. I know the Thunderbird hooked one. They didn't get it. It bit a feather on the trolling spread, the same spread that they're using for Dorado and Yellowtail and Yellowfin. Usually just small feathers, 5 to 6 inch skirted lures. They all really work well. Just put out your nice little spread here, and when you're trolling around looking for this stuff, whether it be on kelp panties or whatnot. But there's been striped marlin, Avalon Bank 152 down the slide, all in here, and they hooked one. It was rigged up with only 100 pounds. So if you're trying to focus on this stuff, maybe level up to like some 150 pound leader, maybe 200. But if you're just focusing on that yellowfin Dorado stuff, then 100 pound will get by. But this thing chewed through 100 pound leader after about 25 minutes or so, and they had some fun with it. But that one didn't make it to the boat, which is all right. But no hating. Sometimes you got to keep a couple. Reminder that they do still taste good. But billfish are billfish. Bluefin. Let's talk about the Channel Islands, since I know this would be the primary focus of guys here. But we're still seeing bluefin along this ridge here, and it's been popping up. It's not really getting that much looked at because this wind has been blowing the last couple of days. So it's also the same reason why you're not hearing a lot of reports come from the Outer Banks. It's just because 5 to 7 foot swell at 8 or 9 seconds is not pleasant for anybody. And why drive 100 miles or 120 miles west when we got some pretty good action locally here? But again, we're heading into boat traffic as well, so keep that in mind. But yeah, there still is some fish around here. We'll see how long they last, but they're there. But keep a close eye on your marine conditions. And this gets back to island fishing again. No real reason to be fishing Nick or Santa Barbara Island, or for that matter, maybe even Catalina. There's going to be a ton of boats here. The volume of fish here in these 3 islands is not great, although you might find some. Generally speaking, why fish an island when you need conditions and all that kind of crap, and boat traffic and idiots, when you can spend some time offshore by yourself and have probably better luck and feel a little bit better about finding your own fish without someone running you over. Same goes for San Clemente Island. Still conditions remain the same. Bring your fly hat, club for the seals, and do the best of what you can do. Majority of the fish are still here on the front side from Pyramid Cove all the way up to Gold Bluff, and maybe down out here to China Point. The island's not getting a lot of attention, frankly, because it's been super inconsistent. And the two mentions, the seals and the flies, are frankly annoying enough that why bother at this point? So offshore fishing it is. Outer Banks, Tanner Cortez still got yellows on both high spots. Smaller schoolie grade fish can be found on the higher spots also when it comes to bluefin. There is some yellowfin starting to make their way out this way. The water temps are getting warm enough where we might get a combo mixture of fish out here. The bluefin, or the bigger ones, are drifting more northwest towards the Cherry Banks. It's about where my pointer is here on the map if you want to look it up, but unfortunately it's not marked on this chart. And there's a series of high spots in this area, but primarily they've been on the east side or west side or northwest corner of those banks as well. So I imagine when things calm down here over the next couple of days, you'll start seeing a lot more sport boats come out here and work this stuff for at least a day and a half or longer trips, or Yeah, probably 2-day trips and longer. Most of the stuff, I know it's not far. San Diego to here is 30 miles. You can mess around the stuff if it's closer. Coming back down below the border, you see the Coronado Islands are smacked in the dab of this nasty chlorophyll mess, and they're really not getting much action because of that. Again, island fishing, not the best time of year for that when we have this amount of volume of fish in the water. As far as what's coming down this way, majority kill patty fishing, but again, there's yellowfin mixed around in here too. So yellows, yellowfin, Dorado. It seems like the Dorado counts are significantly higher than the yellowfin or the yellowtail, but basically from the 371s to the 43 and this surrounding kind of escarpment here along the canyon is always a really good zone for fish. And the Dorado bite's been pretty good. Not as good as last year, but it seems nearly wide open or almost wide open. Most boats are close to limits, if not having limits all around. So a little easier to catch them bluefin when they're stubborn. But all in all, really, really good fishing right now. I give it a 9 out of 10, with the exception of the Outer Banks are just a little tough with the wind situation here. But we'll see how things perk up over the next several days. Generally speaking, you can find fish anywhere in this bite right now. We try and point out specific areas where there's a lot more volume, so you have a little bit better luck. And like I said, the stuff on the inside, it's there. It's a little difficult to stay on top of, so it's going to take some work. But it is there. If you stick out and stick to the game plan that you set for yourself, you're going to get them. So that's it for this week, guys. Be safe out there, and yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our website and online store at chasingprojects.com. And make sure you share the stoke.